Never take credit for work you didn't do. Let's dive into a principle that gets at the heart of being a man of true character and integrity. Never take credit for work you didn't do. Now, this one is pretty straightforward on the surface, right? Claiming accomplishments that don't rightly belong to you is lying, plain and simple. It's academic dishonesty in the classroom, career sabotage in the workplace, and just a flat-out violation of ethical behavior everywhere else. But beyond the obvious fact that taking unearned credit is wrong, let's explore what upholding this value really means from the lens of emotional intelligence and positive, secure masculinity. Because at its core, consistently giving proper credit where it's due speaks to some deeper psychological truths about self-awareness, confidence, and personal ownership. As men, we're often socially conditioned to want to be seen as competent, infallible winners who have it all figured out. That alpha male stereotype can create immense internal pressure to always be perceived as decisive, successful, and on top of our game in every endeavor. Any whiff of confusion, shortcoming, or need for help can get interpreted as weakness in that flawed cultural narrative. So when we encounter situations where we're not 100% knowledgeable or high-performing, that ego temptation can arise to want to fake it, embellish our contributions, or take credit for teammates' efforts in order to save face and protect that bravado image. But here's the truth. Emotionally intelligent men know that making space to be imperfect, ask questions, admit gaps, and share the spotlight is a show of strength and wisdom, not weakness. Authentic confidence doesn't require putting on arrogant performances that involve deceit or false facades. It stems from a grounded sense of self-acceptance and presence, understanding that you don't need to mispresent reality in order to fundamentally respect and back yourself. In fact, men who take credit they haven't earned have simply revealed their own insecurities, lack of boundaries, and fragile senses of self. What you don't want as a man is that desperate, approval-seeking energy surrounding you at all times. Talk about a turnoff to potential partners and an unsustainable way to move through life. On the flip side, a man who owns his worth while simultaneously keeping it real, giving props to others, and operating from a place of wholeness, discernment, and transparency. That's a stud. That's someone people are innately drawn to because they project authenticity and integrity. Those leadership qualities are magnetic. From an emotional intelligence standpoint, that humility and accountability shows incredible self-awareness and regulation of unhealthy ego drives. To be able to say "I don't know" or "thanks to the team for their hard work" rather than stuffing your ego demonstrates strong understanding of your skills, gifts, and limitations. Insecure men struggle with embracing their whole selves. This includes both their strengths and weaknesses. So they lean on inflated self-promotion and taking more credit than they deserve to avoid feelings of inadequacy. Emotionally intelligent men have the wisdom to embrace all sides of themselves so they don't need to bullshit or exaggerate. That capacity to hold your own boundaries, to know where you begin and end as a person, is what breeds resilient self-esteem and confidence that doesn't require external self-aggrandizement or validation. It's a quiet, grounded power that commands respect simply through its consistent uprightness and authenticity. Now let's talk about why this principle of never taking unearned credit is also so crucial from the perspective of positive, collaborative masculinity. At the most basic level, taking credit you haven't earned is deeply disrespectful to the people who did put in that effort, whether teammates, partners, underlings, or anyone else involved. It essentially degrades their work and erases their contributions because you've appointed yourself as the sole face of the accomplishment. That's not allyship, it's arrogance. It's perpetuating unhealthy status games, hierarchies, and power dynamics that breed dysfunction and toxicity in relationships and workplaces. True masculinity isn't about acquisition of credit by any means necessary. It's about empowering everyone on your team to shine in their own right and take pride in their work. Positive masculinity shares the pie rather than hoarding all the glory for itself. Think about it. A man who takes credit that doesn't belong to him is centered on his ego, not true leadership. He wants all eyes on him. He sabotages the success of those around him for his own gain. That's the antithesis of collaborative strength. but a real leader who uplifts those he works with, who eagerly celebrates their wins, and shines light on the entirety of what made the group successful. He's the embodiment of positive masculinity and emotional intelligence in motion. He recognizes that true victory is collective, that there's more than enough credit to go around. He prioritizes empowering and supporting his crew over basking in personal glory. That's a powerhouse dynamic that galvanizes teams, encourages engaged employees, and magnetizes high-caliber talent. Finally, never take unearned credit speaks to taking radical ownership in your life as a man. Because if you're willing to take ownership of your mistakes, blind spots, and weaker areas by not claiming skills or results you don't actually possess, it follows that you're also willing to own and take responsibility for your successes too. Men who can't admit fault and who always need to puff their chests out about empty claims show that they haven't stepped into full self-authorship. They're still looking outside of themselves for embellished identities, merit badges, and self-worth. But a man comfortable with personal accountability doesn't need to take bogus credit because he derives his sense of purpose and value from within. His self-acceptance and drive emerge from a stance of sovereignty over his own actions. He chooses to produce great results with integrity and gives them their authentic weight, no more, no less. So when you think about it, consistently upholding the principle of never take credit for work you didn't do actually touches on so many layers of emotional intelligence and positive masculinity. It speaks to authenticity over showy arrogance, security to expose vulnerability, self-awareness about boundaries, regulatory control of ego drives, grounded esteem not needing external validation, collaboration and uplifting team success, healthy dynamics and anti-toxicity, true leadership focused on empowerment, radical self-ownership and accountability. At the end of the day, an emotionally intelligent man has the quiet confidence to let his actions speak for themselves without inflated claims. He understands that true equity and lasting respect is earned through consistency of character and owning your impact, both positive and negative. So fellas, remember this, every time you're tempted to take undeserved credit, you're not just cheating others, you're cheating yourself of the opportunity to show up wholeheartedly with honor and integrity. Stay true to the work you've actually put in, give props elsewhere with humility, and keep refining your emotional mastery. That's how you become a real man of self-ownership and service. Always take the high road. It's worth it every single time.